Welcome to the Tuning In podcast, where we talk alignment, intuition, and our internal guidance system. We cover woo-woo topics in an approachable and practical way. I'm your host, Dana Evans of Alignful.com. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Tuning In podcast. How's everyone doing? How are we doing? I thought, man, we're all in this together. And I keep showing up to record episodes. And you know what? I thank you for listening. So just a few updates for me. I am in the third week of my inner voice facilitator training, which I'm doing with Jess Lively, who's like an inner voice master. And this is an intensive, this is the first time she's ever offered a training to teach people to do what she does, which is bring people into kind of a state of awareness and receptivity so that their inner voice versus their ego, their inner voice can actually speak up and speak clearly. And these are really, really interesting practices and definitely different, but I am loving this. I already teach inner voice work, as you know. My membership, Align in 5, is actually a 12-month program to really help you understand what the inner voice is. It starts from zero and helps you understand what it is, how to work with it in daily life, and really how to break down the difference between the ego and the inner voice and really start to embrace that voice within you. So that is like what I'm teaching. But then the inner voice facilitator training is helping me understand the mind more deeply so that I can help people drop into this state. It's a 2-hour session, usually 90 minutes to 2 hours. They drop into the state where they can be really receptive. The inner voice can speak, and then I actually end up acting kind of as the mind and ask and interview the inner voice and ask questions. So it's a really beautiful practice. And I kind of relate my membership as opposed to these deep sessions to like, you would want to have a gym membership and a personal trainer. So the gym membership is so you can kind of go to the gym and do your exercises every day and keep up. And then the personal trainer kind of helps you take things to the next level. So these deep 2-hour sessions really show you what is possible for your inner voice. And then you would want to remain in my membership to remind yourself how to kind of use it and tap into this on a daily basis. So I will start offering sessions probably in May. So stay tuned on the podcast. I'll probably announce a special for those who want to jump in and be some of my first clients. I'm doing a bunch of practice sessions this week and it's been really amazing. So I'm all in. I'm so excited for this work. And yeah, so that's kind of what I've been up to. I've been pretty quiet, like in terms of talking with people on the phone and even on Instagram, because this is an intensive training. It's really compacted. So it's every night from 6 to 8 p.m., Monday through Thursday for 3 weeks. So it's a lot. And I'm just feeling that desire to really tap into my own inner voice and just be a little bit more I pulled away a little bit more solitude. And I think I need that in order to process what I'm learning so that then I can best present it and share it with you all. So stay tuned. Something will be coming up in May for you guys to be able to try this out for yourselves. So this week on the podcast, it's fun. We're talking about some quarantine practices. It's another episode of the Quarantine Diaries, okay? Where I'm just sharing where I'm at and what I'm feeling and how I'm kind of relating this to Groundhog Day and what I'm doing to shake things up. So without further ado, here's this week's episode. Happy Woo Woo Wednesday, everybody. Hope you're hanging in there, taking deep breaths, drinking lots of water, and taking care of yourself, however that looks. So, okay, the other morning I woke up, got up, did my little face routine. I splashed my face with cold water, which is nice and refreshing. And then I use my Everything Spray toner. I swipe my face with that. That's from Primally Pure. I love that stuff. And then I put on a face oil. Okay. And I've changed into like kind of yoga, like my day wear, my casual day wear, which is like yoga pants and t-shirt. Then I go out into the kitchen, fill up the water filter, the Berkey water filter, grind the coffee beans, measure and grind the coffee beans, fill the water tank, get the food out to feed the cat, and then I go to start to unload the dishwasher, and I'm like, I can't effing do this. It was like, my brain was like, we're done. And all I can say is for the first time actually in this whole quarantine, I was like, this is Groundhog Day. This is what the movie was about. And this is what I feel like we are repeating the same day over and over and over. And I'm done. I'm so done with it. And it's just like my morning routine, this whole practice, like, look, we start routines to, help us be efficient. And we use routines to make sure things get done. I've always said that this little morning routine that I have, it's more about just like keeping the household running than anything. And it's important. And I'm always happy when I do it. It's like then the kitchen looks nice. The dishwasher's unloaded so we can put new dishes in. The cat's taken care of. And the coffee's made. And then after I make my coffee, I finally sit down, which is about the time that John wakes up. And I read a little bit. And then, he has his coffee and we like sit for a little bit. But something about like hitting that point of unloading the dishwasher. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. But then my mind was like, you need to unload the dishwasher, Dana. This is what we do in the morning. So I unloaded the dishwasher, but I just couldn't shake that Groundhog Day feeling. And I'm like, I need to do something different. Like 7 days a week, every day, I do the same thing in the morning and I hit a wall. And it's because, what would happen when I wasn't in quarantine is days were different. Like some mornings I would go to yoga at 6:30 a.m. or a 9 a.m. class or go on a walk. I should still be doing that. Or I would go to a coffee shop and work in the morning. So things were a little bit different, but we're just home. And so every day is the same. Oh my God. Do you guys feel this? Every day is the same. And I really like diversity and I like to mix things up. And this level of routine is really suffocating me. So I'm like, okay, Dana, what are we going to do? Like we need to do something. So what did I do? I ended up deciding I was going to take a shower and I was like, ooh, I'm going to set the tone for the day and take a shower. Like, hello, quarantine diaries. I am showering like, I don't know, 3 times a week, maybe 2 times. Not working out that much. I'm not really that concerned about it, but it was like a big deal. So I showered. But before that, I was like, okay, I'm going to do dry brushing. And if you haven't done dry brushing, it's like this little stiff bristle brush. And you just sweep it. I'm doing it right now. You just sweep it in short little strokes all around your body. I actually have a whole YouTube video about how to do it. But it's really effective in helping to increase your circulation and the lymphatic system. So especially if you're not working out a lot, the lymphatic system is basically like how our body clears itself out, but it doesn't do it on its own. So working out does that, sweating does that, any sort of movement, baths can help with that, and dry brushing and massage helps to clear out the lymphatic system. That's why anytime you get a massage, they're like, drink lots of water. It's because you want to drink the water to help flush out the toxins that have come to the surface. So dry brushing is a wonderful way you can do that every day or, every week to help kind of move stuff along in your body. So I decided to do a dry brush, which I usually only do like at night before I take a bath. And then I did oil massage and I got in the shower and I was like, oh, this is so nice. I got out. I was listening to a podcast and I have this new body butter that I was using also from Primally Pure. And so I did like a little massage and put the body butter on. And then I took it a step further and I was like, I'm going to do a face mask. So I put a face mask on and it felt so good. And I was like, okay, so like this is a really productive or positive thing that I can be doing with my morning, and it's like totally mixed things up. So that is one thing. It's like you can shift your morning routine. And it's so interesting because I feel like we all get really attached to our morning routines because they serve a purpose, right? It's like how you're starting your day. But given, where we are right now in this time, I just ask you, like, what would happen if you mix things up in the morning? What if you made an iced coffee instead of a hot coffee? Like, what if you made the Dalgoa coffee? Ooh, I'm posting my recipe for that on my Instagram today. What if you do a face mask in the morning? Or go on a walk when you would normally sit down right away to work? Or read a book in the morning? Depending on what your routine looks like, we can mix it up. Or maybe even like get up and do some house cleaning to like shake things up. We don't have to stay in the same routine, especially when there's like no end to when that routine's going to end. And a routine is only as effective as it's like, to me, I want a routine that feels good and that I feel good about. So like when I hit that wall the other day and I was like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. I realized, okay, this unconscious moving through the motions in the morning is no longer serving me. And so I'm mixing it up. Now, of course, do the things still get done? Yes, I gotta get them done. The cat needs to be fed. I have to scoop her litter. But I actually was shifting it till like, I was taking a break around like 9:30 or 10 and then doing like unloading the dishwasher and scooping the cat's litter and like picking up and making the bed and like getting all that stuff ordered. I just kind of moved it to a different time so that I had more availability in the morning. Okay. So, Groundhog Day. Similar thing is like John and I, kind of a rut, like every night, just like sitting on the couch, just watching TV and mindlessly eating. And again, I was like, okay, I want to talk to him. I want to go on a walk. So 2 nights now, we actually made a little cocktail and put them in our little tumblers, and we went on like an evening walk and got to chat and like had a little drink. Of course, you don't have to have a cocktail. I just wanted one. But like we walked around our neighborhood. I was like, oh, that's nice too, because we don't usually walk in the evening. And like, this is nice. Like we're having time to chat. And then last night, instead of turning on the TV, oh my God, gasp, we just like hung out and ate dinner. And then we chatted a little bit. And I realized that, wow, that like 10 minutes of like quality time. So my love language, I don't know if you guys know about the 5 love languages, but it's like 5 ways that you give and then also receive love. Mine is quality time. So with John being so busy, I haven't had a ton of like quality one-on-one time with him with no distractions. And just like sitting for 10 minutes and like having some conversations with him that was undisturbed while eating dinner filled me up more than I ever could have known. And I was like, oh my God, we need to be doing this more often, and we need to go on our walks more often. It's beautiful out now, so that's, something we can work in. But it's just like, just pause and look at what you're doing. And now is such a good time to ask, is this still serving me? And is it still serving its purpose? And what is its purpose? My morning routine, the main purpose is like keeping the household running, and it's more about efficiency. But if it's not bringing me joy, I personally want to find a way to make it work so that it does bring me joy. And I believe that that's possible with anything that we have to do. I think that we can usually find a way that it can be a little bit more enjoyable and not just like drudgery chores that have to get done. In fact, I was listening to an inner voice. I had a session yesterday with this wonderful woman, and her inner voice said, if it's not a chore, don't do it. And I was like, inner voice? You're telling me we don't have to do chores? And the inner voice said, if it feels like a chore, you don't have to do it. But chores can be fun. What? They're so wise. I love our inner voices. They're really wise. And so it just reminded me, like, we don't have to do anything, guys. Like, just make it work for you and see what you can do and find routines that are serving you and just check in with them and be like, okay, what would I be doing if I wasn't in this rut of a routine, if it feels like a rut? And you have so much more flexibility right now. I think most of us do have a little bit more flexibility with like when and how we do stuff. We also might have more responsibility, especially if you have kids at home, but it's just a different level of like, we're not getting up and having the commute and having to get dressed and whatever. So ask yourself what's going on and how can you bring in new routines that like shift things, and it's also springtime. Spring is a great time of like refresh and renew. So it's a really good time to reflect on what you've been doing and ask yourself if you want to continue doing it. So anywhere where you're feeling a little bit stagnant, whether it's in your body or in your routines, it's a good time to really start to mix that up. And honestly, dry brushing is a really good way to move stagnant energy. And so is breath work, doing deep breathing, like an actual breath work session, and doing energetic shifts and chakra clearing, all of these things, meditation, journaling. It's a really nice time to go into those practices and just check in. Or as I would always say, of course, go into your inner voice and ask yourself, do a little Q&A and ask yourself, inner voice, is this serving me? Inner voice, if I wasn't doing this, what would you have me do? And it will guide you. It will guide you. So just give yourself some time this week and start to reflect and start to be the witness of what you do, what you're doing regularly, and just check in, like, is this serving me? Is this something I want to keep doing? And if not, see if you can make a shift. Be bold, be willing to change things up that might feel a little bit uncomfortable and see what happens. So another thing that has come up for me is, of course, personal space. So John and I, we live in like a decent sized place, and we have an office, which I had converted it into my office. It was a guest room, converted it into my office. Like, I got it painted, and then this all hit, and basically everything got like dumped in that office. And John started working in there, and he made a mess because he was like writing a paper and totally papers and books everywhere. I was like working from the couch kind of working like at a desk that we have in the living room. It was like not great. And every time I went to the office, I was like, ugh, I can't work in here. It's so messy and ugly. So finally I felt inspired not too long ago to really deal with the office so that I could be in that space as well. And I hung this curtain rod that I had. So proud of myself, by the way. I like used tools and like mostly measured and used a level and hung a curtain rod and curtains because like we didn't have blinds there. It was like blinding us. And we had like a towel tacked to the window, And I put away all the crap. I moved some stuff down to the garage. I like made the shelves look pretty. I dealt with the plants. And then John and I moved my old desk, which is this tiny little desk that I never got rid of. We moved it up from the garage into the office. And now we have a really beautiful workspace that we can both be in. Mia has her bed there. Everyone's super happy. But guys, I'm like, I really don't mind hanging out with John, and like we don't really get in each other's hair very much, but I just realized like having space alone is like a massive luxury. And I know parents with kids are like rolling their eyes because it's nothing. I understand this is nothing compared to like if I had a toddler stuck to me all day or any age kid. But I'm like, wow, I usually have a lot of time alone because John goes to work and I'm home. And so now we're both together all the time. And in a lot of ways, I really love it. But in weird ways, I'm noticing where I'm kind of like holding back a little bit. For example, like this morning he's doing a presentation. And so I like was in the kitchen and I was sitting there. I'm like, oh my God, I can do whatever I want right now because John's on a call and I don't have it. And I had this like weird little flash of freedom. And of course I came to record my podcast, so it doesn't matter. But then I was realizing like I want to like dance and sing. So John went on a run the other day and I didn't go. And I like blasted some music and did a workout. And I was like, oh, this is what I've been needing. Like I need some music and some like my own energy. Like I don't have to always work out with John. So it's like doing my own thing alone in the house felt so good. So like if you can create some space to do your own workout or, you know, your own little session, your own meditation, that's really helpful. I've also been coming into the bedroom early. I usually do that anyway, but I've been heading into the bedroom at night around like 8:30 or 9 and pretty much like taking a whole hour to wind down. So like I wash my face, like I might do some meditation, a little stretching, a little breathing, reading, whatever it is, but like I have that space to myself. And then also John has that space to himself at night. Like he can watch a show if he wants to unwind. He plays with the cat. He cleans the kitchen. But it's like we create that boundary of me closing the bedroom door so that we have our separate time. Okay, another thing is just driving. I'll tell you this, but I drove back from a friend's house because I picked something up from her doorway, which I'll share in just a minute. And like on the way home, I felt so free. And she literally lives 1 mile from me. So the drive was about 5 minutes. And I felt so free. I'm like, oh my God. So I was driving and happy and I parked the car and you'll see this on Instagram. And I blasted Beyonce and I did a hardcore car dance party. And I've done this twice now and I will do it again next week. And I just totally like shook and yelled and danced and sang at the top of my lungs. And it was a beautiful energy release. Again, I found some space alone, which happened to be in the car in the driveway. And I don't care if people are walking by and seeing me. I needed that more than I even knew. So there's a fun little way to find some space. Do a little car dance party if you have a car. But coming to the next thing is my friend and I, who lives, again, just a mile away, we've started a Saturday cocktail exchange. So I know a lot of us are making cocktails right now, and it's kind of a fun way to like do something creative and pass the time. But you know what's even more fun? Making a cocktail for someone else and then them making a cocktail for you and doing an exchange. So she and her husband it's like they make enough for 2 people. We put them in a little mason jar. Last week, they made a Sazerac cocktail. And so I drove over to her house in my free reign music driving state. And I went and picked up from her doorstep the cocktail she made for me. And then I made her and her husband a classic daiquiri and left that for them. And then came home and then John and I made our cocktail and we cheersed. And then they put together their cocktail and cheersed. And it wasn't like a Zoom happy hour. We just did this separately. We sent each other a photo. And it was so fun. So again, mixing up the way you do something, like a little funny cocktail exchange, like I got so giddy and I'm like so excited plotting for next week's cocktail. I don't know what I'm making. They don't know what they're making. It'll be a surprise. And any little things, guys, that we can do to shake things up and also make something feel special, like I am all for it. Let's do it. And I guess I'm just talking to you guys this week and just sharing like what I've been up to because I think it's really helpful. It's easy to kind of feel alone. And I especially have been pretty reclusive lately. Like I have been enjoying my solitude. So the little things that I've been doing, I think are really helping me kind of feel a little bit more sane. And that's all. We're not crazy. You know, our minds might be a little crazy, but this is just a different way of being. And my belief generally is the more we can get past the resistance of what is. Like, I can't wait till it goes back. I should have been in Anguilla. I wish I was doing this. I usually did this. That's mind chatter. the more we can get away from that resistance to what is and start just being with what is, and dare I say, embracing it and creating new ways of being. See, we're trying to take our old habits, myself included, and put them into this new way of being. And it might not fit. And that's fine. But we have to be willing to be like, oh, this doesn't fit. This doesn't feel right. My inner voice was like, F this. I'm done with these effing routines and unloading the dishwasher. I want fun. And so I'm willing to look at that and ask, how can I make this fun? How can this be easy? How can I shift this? And you can do the same. You don't need to force your old routines into this new way of being, but instead you can create a new routine as part of your new way of being and try to make it fun. Look for the light, right? Look for the joy. Look for the little moments that make you giddy because your priorities have likely shifted. All of ours have. So what used to feel really important, like styling your hair every day, that might be 30 minutes that you now have back. Or, a goal that you used to be really attached to, maybe for weight loss or earning money or something, might not feel as important as your health and connection to friends and family. Whatever it is perfect. And so just start to witness what's going on and be curious. Be curious and start to ask yourself, what do I need? What do I need in this moment? What would feel good right now? And how can I bring that to fruition? Not with resistance to what it could have been, but with what you're working with now. How can you embrace it and step into that? Okay, my friends, I hope that was helpful. Just kind of fun, different ways to look at life and maybe sparked some new ideas for you. I would love to hear what you guys are doing that's different this quarantine and what you're doing to kind of shake up the days, mark the start and end of the day, and create connections and how you're feeling. So go ahead and share that on Instagram. If you DM me or comment on my post at Dana_Evans. And I look forward to chatting with you guys next week. I hope you have a beautiful day. And as always, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining me on another episode of the Tuning In podcast. As always, if this would resonate with anyone you know, please share the episode. You can follow along with my journey on Instagram at Dana_Evans. Or find me on my website at alignful.com.